Good morning. Ciao. Welcome in. Come on in the room. Come on into the table. How are you doing? Y'all, the fact that let's do our intros. I'm fussing right now with my label printing. I got to print a few labels for some springtime Osara, whitewater, some little goodies, some little spring things. Okay, we're going to get those shipped out. Yay, it let me in. Guys, the energy, man, oh man, do we keep dancing with this Virgo energy. And I think it's so super important to really understand the portals that we are working through. And it's so crazy. Like, what was I thinking? I was thinking about a dream that I had and about how ancestral DNA and like so many things being closed out, so many things. I think oftentimes that we in our linear understanding, we think of close out, big new beginnings, but oftentimes it's not Spirit is bringing me into this place of saying, like, these things are not going to be these huge, big, bang, pow. Oh my goodness. You know what I mean? Sometimes there's this big energy too. I was going to try to do all our intro things, but now that I'm sat down into the space, I feel like I'm being taken in the different directions. And so I don't want to lose our momentum. So I'm just talking through the downloads with you guys. Happy Monday. By the way, if you're here, thanks for hanging out with me, okay? You know that you can hop to the description and check out the best place to learn more about me and what I do and what I offer is to go to my website. And I also have a tarot alchemical living sabbatical lifestyle. We weave everything together. I call it my tarot school, my alchemy school, but in all honesty, if you dive into the world of the collective body of energy that's really wrapped up in the art of the tarot, it's what do we say? It's a gateway. Tarot is the gateway tool, right? That's what it is. So thanks for being here. But Spirit's like, let's just get right down into it. Okay, because this big energy that is coming through is that it is so important that we sit and reflect, these portals that we're closing. And when we say portals, we immediately come back to a place where we understand, yes, of course, Spirit is saying, yes, of course, we have a clear understanding that portals are, we think of the eclipse portal, and we know this, we've had chit chats about it. But portals, well, Spirit wants to, my ancestors and team, you guys, my multidimensionality of selves, my spirit team, and those that it is I connect to and work with, right? So Spirit, oneness, divine source, God, goddess energy, right? That's what we connect to here. We always set our intentions here. This is a energy in a space that is safe to expand and receive messages and activations. And yeah, that's the energy we just call in to anchor here. Spirit is saying, first and foremost, pointing back into you, into your heart chakra, into your chest. Spirit is taking me back to two things. There was a time that I was channeling this message, and we were going into a forest. If you've been here sometime, you remember with me this collective message. We were going into a forest, and we walked up, and we saw that force field, and it was very like, it was very galactic, and yet Spirit is saying the irony is that galactic is not, how are you saying, Spirit? Galactic is not non-earthbound. You know, in fact, the ancestors that we would say anchor in this frequency that we call so to speak, earthly and elemental, and in fact from many different places. And so it's like my guides and my higher self are kind of chuckling at that, but that's okay. We love it. You know what I'm saying? The same stuff that we touch in our crystals and gemstones. And in fact, Spirit is saying the minerals that are moving through your body are very much also galactic at the same time as it is in a star. as it is that the water that makes its way into the Earth's system and the alchemical current it's all cosmic. You know what I'm saying? In its isness. I guess maybe this is going to be a channeling session because I'm getting a lot. Spirit was first and foremost taking me back to that space where we were walking through a forest. And remember, I was saying, perhaps you see it as your ancestor. Perhaps it is that you see it as your spirit guide. Perhaps as being that you experience as elementals. Whatever the case may be, do you understand? We're so multidimensional than ourselves and our experience in each individual journey. Trust how you see it. But remember, we were being called into the forest, and it was like whimsical, and this makes me think of like skittering. I'm hearing tiptoe through the... Listen, I know, I'm just channeling. Normally that song is like a, oh no, what are we tiptoeing towards? And perhaps Spirit is saying that is likened to sometimes what it is to experience and make magic with chaotic energy. You know, that whole no one's really knowing, and that's part of it. So we were going into this, and remember, it is that we stopped, and I was explaining this experience of having, it was like you were touching. Imagine it's an elasticity of it's what is the word, Spirit? Plasmic. It was this, it makes me think of how people talk about spacecrafts in the atmosphere and how they camouflage themselves, and it's this like plasmic type of material that we've yet to understand. But we were out in the forest and we had been led there, but we kind of whoop, it's like you bumped into it by accident, whoop. And so remember when I was channeling that visual, let me get a sip, sorry. This blue matcha, you know, we love to do our water stacking over here. We got some blue matcha. It's so good. So what had happened was, no, listen, what had happened next is that, remember what I was telling you? We had an out-of-body experience, and it was like this beam me up Scotty moment. Some may have experienced that they could kind of stretch into the plasmic beyondness. It feels like, I don't know why, Spirit is showing me like pushing out energy, spreading it, but connecting it to this older visual download that we had received. It feels like energy clearing. So perhaps that's relevant to someone. It makes me think of Reiki, or like when you're aligning your chakras. Remember how I was saying that there was like this energetic frequency or light or whatever it was that was like scanning the person outside the plasma bubble? And if you weren't paying attention, if you were on, how do we say, a different timeline, how do we say, if your frequency and your projected perception was not a match, Spirit is saying it like this, maybe you would have just never even noticed the plasma bubble is there. It is much like people, Spirit is saying, never are touching their frequency fences. They just don't know. They're just, no, you know, and they're living in their way, in their incarnation. But for those that, yes, I'm measuring a box while I'm chit-chatting with you. But for those that, Spirit is saying something as if had eyes to see and ears to hear. They notice the plasma, and in fact, some maybe could just bump up against it. Spirit says it's in accordance with your ability to release fear and expectations. Spirit is connecting the ability to kind of penetrate into that beyondness. There's a correlation to the inner child, the whimsy, the playfulness. This, in fact, is the way that the frequency is coded for upgrading and ascending. There's something here that's coming through as well. So funny, because in a channeling space, I always ask myself, what's Mercury doing? But I know that Mercury is retrograding in Pisces right now. We're in this dreamy space because this feels so... Spirit's like, you're getting distracted. Okay, cool. My spirit is like, stay in the channel space with us. So essentially what we were talking about, I can't remember how long ago this was. It's been a little minute, okay? And there was a beam me up, like an energy scan. It's funny because we talk about that. I talk about that a lot in retrograde energy. It's kind of like being in an energetic alignment bubble or a tube or a floating pod. So for those, they were scanned. Some had this beam me up, Scotty type of moment. And zoom, remember I was saying it was almost like your physical body got put on hold and either your higher self and essence of the self, maybe it was perhaps one of your bodies, intuitive, psychic body, emotional body, higher level astral bodies, who knows? But there was a part of you that was like, shoom, and it went. But it was like you were put on pause right there. It gives this energy of a portal. I think it's significant because, hold on, you guys. I sound like a teacher. I'm measuring these packages. It gives this energy of this is important right now. I think Spirit is bringing this visual back because there are things that happen within portals. You are a walking electricity, frequency, conducting divine embodiment of energy source light. You see what I'm saying? Because you are water, because you are electricity, and because you are minerals that are in fact not only earthbound. Shout out, we love our beautiful mother Gaia, and she's ascending with us. She's growing, she's evolving with us, but it's also very galactic. Do you understand? Pause with me for a moment. Spirit is saying, you grasp this. Because you're also full of portals and your chakras. We love to talk about over here, the heart chakra is like a stellar gateway. And you know how we went through, this was in a lot in the year of 2023, which I think is also significant because that was a very Cancerian, understanding your emotional body, understanding the how do we say, your body's waters, the waters of your bodies. Remember we talked a lot, let's go ahead and snag that label. Yeah. Remember how we talked a lot about how nothing can come out of you that does not go through the waters. You see, you are 50 to 70% water. Even, in fact, your blood, we will always, we can go back into remember blood. Spirit of saying it's appropriate in connection to the Aries energies, the embodiment of what Aries is in the physical body, right? They are made up of plasma, and so much of that is water. There's something about big things happen in big portals, but we were, should we say, a bait and switch, an illusion, an inverted, Spirit is showing me an inverted magician card. It's a sleight of hand. Some would liken to say, Spirit is saying you could call that black magic. You could call that energetic manipulation, inversion of an organic understanding of the way I'm seeing this. You see how I'm seeing an inverted magician? You could infer Baphomet, but I just don't want to put only a negative projection onto that because that is such a powerful spiritual understanding. But you get what I'm saying. Okay, so sometimes it is that we are led to look outside of our own body and our own very personal experience of where are the portals. And it's a bit, there's something here about the big things that are going on when we talk about these timelines of Aries frequencies, energies, codes, activations, etc., that are unfurling now. And in fact, this coming of new moon and coming of spring is a huge reset. It's so important to understand that the trick, the bait and switch, is to get you to look for many portals elsewhere, or else, Spirit is saying, if it could even just be deemed a success, that you could just believe that all of those things were outside of yourself. And so this big energy is coming through of like, taking it back to that first visual, was that now, whatever that beam me up Scotty moment is, something I was hearing is like something's coming back into your body. Do you remember also when we sat in the energy of Jupiter being in Gemini? Because in fact, that was a preparation for soon to come Uranus will move into Gemini. And we kept saying, all of the ancestors are coming online. And it was this whole, imagine that you got all these downloads of tiny packages, and we could liken to, i.e. packages being photons of light, energetic light frequency energy. You see, and now it's almost like how things will lie dormant in your DNA until they are either in a bottleneck effect, or either they have some sort of spur from an environmental trigger, so to speak, to activate. And then sometimes you can go through your whole life, and this is a medical thing, it is a psychological thing, it's been studied for sure. But it works in the same way in different kinds of DNA. I think when we talk about light body, there's so much we don't understand in our DNA just because we don't have scientific tools to measure it. But it's the same principle. I think about how there were different times too when Jupiter is in Gemini. We talked a lot about telomeres. We kept making these references to antenna and developing these new things outside the body. But there's a moment where Spirit had taken me back to that visual and showed me something's coming back online. Okay. And so wouldn't you think that if you did not want your whole, I'm hearing we've spent thousands of years building this, but it's, now Spirit is here. London Bridge is falling down. I always think it's funny that song comes through because of London, esoteric symbolism, tomes and tomes of collected knowledge of books. And if you study and you understand different scholarly things and you trace a lot of things back, so funny. London Bridge is falling down. Spirit is saying the bridges are no longer in the same places. I think that it's important to understand too, there was something coming through, and it's like, is the Virgo energy that we worked with all year last year in the 6th house, in the body, that we will continue to walk out the remainder of understanding how this South Node in Virgo ecliptic point has really affected us and what it's closed and what it's prepared us for. We think about the Virgo energy as far as the virgin, as far as being untouched, as far as being pure, birthing something. There's this whole teaching we could go into on another day about whole sects of people that really thought that for lots of different reasons, the year didn't start until Virgo season. It's very interesting. But what I think is important is that when we think about, embodiment, we talk about a lot of things. Of course, it's very natural to think about your health, your work, we think about these very tangible, I do want to say mundane. Of course, that is an agreement. It's an important part because we are incarnate as being a human. But what the experience of being a human embodied really means is absolutely changing too. So there are things happening in our body, on all this Piscean energy. Please remember also, Spirit is reminding, please remember also that the Piscean frequency is not only, let us not forget, because Spirit is saying we want to rush forward so quickly, but let us not forget, we spent all this time in these deep water trines. And again, that makes me think of Jupiter now being in Cancer. But during that whole Cancerian year, and we were talking about the Chariot, and we were talking about the reclamation of your divine sovereignty and how that connects to your willpower. I'm thinking about how in the Chariot card, in the most common, in the most, the older traditional, there's lots of different interpretations that are more artistic and individualized. But in the, let's just say Rider Waite, and you could pick ones that go way back. You could go pre-Raphaelite. You could pick a lot of different ones, right? But the main thing is that you'll notice when you study the depiction of the art that oftentimes a charioteer, he's not holding any reins. And it's almost as if there is an understanding due to discernment and wisdom and trials through life and alchemical work on your own personal journey, that you know that something else is controlling this whole thing, right? And then I can't help but think of the Chariot card and think about how we keep talking about that. Whoa, hold your mule, pull back on the reins. But now it's like, joke's on you. I'm not holding any reins, you know. There's this big element of trust and understanding. When lots of things are crumbling at once, you know, the big gag is to ideally have everyone looking outside. What is the next big plot and the next big bait and switch, inverted magician? You know, we got to milk him for all he's worth because pretty much we're going to lose. Karma's catching up to us very quickly. These are the things that I'm channeling from like more darkened versions of certain timelines that are falling away. Yes, there will be. Spirit is saying there will be people that still want to grip onto those timelines because of cognitive dissonance, because of fear, because of not being able to embrace going into territory that is unknown and familiar. Is not familiar is what I meant to say. You know, that white knuckle gripping. I'm grasping desperately. I'm grasping to find control of something, right? But the stillness is where you really find it, you see. And so when we think about Virgo and we think about embodiment, there is coming into this flood. It is very energetic. It is very etheric. You could say maybe spiritual, mystical. Some people get, Spirit is saying like, some people really get uncomfortable in that space. Because what do you cling to? And what do you mean I don't have a way to point a finger at you and say, because I don't understand how you're going through your experience, that it's invalid. And then we get into all those things, right? That's dogmatic. When you don't have those things to grab onto anymore, you have to sit with yourself. And I think these Virgo portals, this reminds me of a conversation I was having with a friend. It's like the energy of lots of people just really getting sick, or you'll hear this phrase like, you know, I'm normally not a person. I got a pretty solid immune system. I feel good. I do good things. For the most part, I would say, yeah, I'm healthy. You know, labs looking great. I'm feeling great. I feel good. Like I would say I'm healthy, right? But you're hearing these stories and it's like, people are like, man, what is going on with mine? I'm sick. I mean, me personally, I know, but lots of people, because I connect with lots of people. I love, I have teachers, I have mentors, I mentor, I teach. There's a lot of different circles, intuitives, people in psychology world, health medical world, people in therapeutic worlds. I'm not only talking woo-woo, but I am. You know, we keep it real woo over here. Hello. We got so much Aquarius, like love and light, respectfully. If you're like, here we go, okay, it's probably not going to be the space for you. We on a different frequency over here if you can't hang woo, okay? But what I'm saying is, it is this feeling, it is this download, it is this essence of the energy and the messages that I'm tapping into right now. It's like, it's this upgrade in your body. And we have to kind of go through these flushes. And sometimes a flush, it's funny, we talked a lot about dissolution as well, but sometimes this energy is absolutely making space. You know what I mean? Absolutely wiping out, absolutely clearing out, absolutely moving away. And I would wager to say, and I don't have to wager to say because I'm hearing it. What is it? You know, from the horse's mouth. Firsthand reports is that even in people's lives, be it, holy shit, like my job just got pulled right out from under me. But you know what? And my friend will know if she watches this, I felt okay with it. It's okay. There's this feeling like, I often have this feeling wash over me when I'm out in nature, right? Which I try to be as much as I can, be it close to home or, you know, you skedaddle off a trail far away, whatever. You stand in nature and you just really be realizing like, what if the whole grid just went down tomorrow? And you look around and you'd be like, we are just really tripping. Like, we have so much already. You are going through this liquidation process. The liquidation may be happening in your career. Perhaps you feel like, is my whole immune system liquidated? Because I don't know. Like, if I catch another super bug, or if I what am I going to do? And it's like we're in a preparation phase. It's so important to really be within, and sitting with yourself. It's so important that it is also from a place of rooted and grounded alignment. And when your heart chakra, the gateway that connects the upper and the lower, all the way down into the deep roots of the earth, Spirit is saying, your earth star, and there's things below that. You can definitely study chakras that are outside just the range of the standard 7. All the way up above your crown, up into the stellar gateways. But that heart in the middle, whoop, 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 that circulation, that plasmic, that's what creates your rhythm, your toroidal field, which now isn't just woo, by the way. We now, because of technology, we can measure people's magnetic resonance of it's a magnetic field, in your heart when it pumps, and it can be measured like how far out, because we have the tools to do that anyway. It's like, I don't see, if I attempt to articulate it, it would only be such that Spirit is saying I would be articulating it in my own experience. Many other people may be experiencing it in a very different way. You know what I'm saying? And some people may also, because time is very fluid, we articulate for shared experiences and the ability to maintain control and share and connect with each other like in linear time, right? But in fact, it's very different for everyone. For example, I could say physically, my liquidation en masse was happening a couple years back, and I was just like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Oh my god, oh my gosh, are you kidding? Liquidate. But I found that sometimes those that are called to be guides, those that are called to be in a more shamanic lifestyle, those that are called to be, in certain positions that require discernment and wisdom, we kind of will ride the wave earlier on. That way we'll be up here stamped down with a staff, real Gandalf style, and be like, hey, come on, I knew this was coming. Come on and sit with me. Let's talk about it. You're going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just how it goes. You're not going to be able to help other people, so to speak, ride through these waves if you've not been through them. But yeah, this liquidation experience, it's this whole, like something is coming back down. When I say it's almost as if your light body went off and you had to get some kind of assignment or collect something or receive your gifts, your little packages, because you knew that it was going to be a certain timing, you needed to open them, right? This is the energy that I'm tapped into. And now it's almost as if, and I feel that it will be this wave spreading out, opening with the new moon in Pisces. Not us talking about waves, right? And then Jupiter in Cancer will continue to help us expound on how many gifts are really coming from this beautiful, it's kind of like a flooding, maybe a flooding of the system. Now, Spirit is showing me, also in 2023, we kept making reference to this thing about how, let's say, the Nile. It was a very highly prepared for, they built their whole lives around it, and they rejoiced. You would think that a flooding would scare the shit out of people. Oh my gosh, I will never live here again. You've got to be kidding me. But no, it was the complete opposite, because they understood that the flooding season was a blessing, because it would bring in, do you understand? Eco-science nerding here, environmental science nerd with me for a second. The riverbeds are always going to be shifting and changing, the way that the sedentary moves, but life on Earth School, beautiful Mother Gaia, right? Always shifting and changing. That's the nature of her being at her most healthy. Some forests are meant to be burned down because there is a healthy process in the ash. Without it, the forest doesn't thrive in the nutrients of the soil. Things need to die because they have to go into the soil. Do you understand? Can you see the metaphor, right? Rivers dry up, but then the flood comes and all these nutrients maybe you never would have gotten elsewhere, and then your crop might have got overdone, and then your soil is depleted. We need all of these things, just like very similar to a hailstorm. It's really scary at the time. It's very chaotic. My gosh, it tore down this and this is completely gone and the grid was offline for da-da-da-da-da. Okay, but the lushness. Do you know what I'm saying? You get blessed with these seeds you may have not ever elsewise had access to. Do you get the metaphor here? And so a deluge, and so a dissolution, and so a flooding, it will come in, but it's definitely very spiritual and of this source embodiment of energy. So I would definitely encourage you, if maybe you feel led to meditate or journal more. Yes. We are still sitting in a time where we need to embrace a stillness mindset, a slower pace. But now, I'm going to tell you my true feelings about this year of the fire horse, the Lunar New Year significance, along with the opening of all these Aries timelines and many other things, right? Saturn in Aries, Neptune in Aries. If you're new here, listen, you gotta. If you don't read about anything else, you should be like, look, I can't keep up with a certain level of astrology, bro. Like, I get it. That's for me to be doing over here so that you can come and check in. But if you didn't read about anything, I'd read about those too. Maybe I would add an addendum to also please read about Pluto and Aquarius. But again, that's an even bigger kind of trumps the board placement of think cosmic, think galactic. Do you get what I'm saying? Be very mindful about how you let your energy leave out. I don't know, I'm seeing this like leaving out of your body. What are you pouring into? What's pouring into you? What are you being called? Maybe you're like, I feel called to do some fasting, or maybe I'm just drinking water or certain whatever. It's going to be different for everyone. But in the body, this Virgo South Node, these Virgo ecliptic points will come back around and hit it again later on. But again, also, please remember that we spent all this time with the hermit frequencies, with the sixth house, with the Virgo energy last year in the year of 9. And it's so important to kind of come to a culmination and say, okay, how is this affecting me? Because the body is not just physical. It is just that we don't have the tools to see a lot of other things, but you'd be surprised if you went down some rabbit holes. And I don't know about you, but I've been looking around and it seems to me that the people have been called crazy on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12, 100% of the accounts of being like, that stuff's just crazy. And then dun 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 dun, science has a new tool and now we've realized. Do you get what I'm saying? Or wow, that was such a conspiracy, but oopsies, we kind of released a lot of files that are saying no, actually it's not. You get what I'm saying? I feel that our DNA is going to be activated in different ways. I feel that this Virgo South Node, and again, here's another thing that Spirit was showing me. It's like we think that things are just going to happen in these big ways, but we're really not. In Spirit is correcting me. The way that our human bodies are set up in this current now time space of being. This is how I'm just channeling. In this current now time space of beingness, in these human bodies, we could not experience ways of things to a certain degree of intensity because we have to be able to do things gradually. That's why the journey goes like this, and then sometimes whoop, and then you know what I'm talking about? Because we've got to be able to. You couldn't take. Spirit showing me you couldn't take a computer from 95 and just sit that girl down in 2026 and load her up and she would short circuit. There'd be no way. You know what I'm saying? You have to do it gradually, and this thing needs to be upgraded. Oop, we need to remove this thing. Okay, this can actually stay, but we're going to tweak it up about 5 or 10 notches, and then we can clean this part off. It's still good. You get what I'm you get what I'm saying? And then when you boot up the system, you can start, I'm seeing zip files. You can start receiving downloads, unpacking. You know how do you want to unzip this package? This is how I'm seeing it. I would wager to say that perhaps because of the intensity of the energy and because of us being in like this wheel year with this fiery horse, again, it's not about fastness, but I would wager to say it's not going to be a common experience. I really don't think so. But certain people who have been on a certain path and have been showing up in certain awareness, or for example, if you incarnated into this lifetime of your experience as a soul to be specifically a spiritual teacher, or you have shamanic energies, or bring back certain lineages from your ancestors, there are very certain unique, not more important, just unique embodiments where, yeah, you know, you may wake up and it's like after the spring equinox, I don't know what happened, man, but my whole life changed and I had this ability, or this whole thing fell in my lap and I was like, whoa. But do you see, you understand that even in that type of example, although it may look like this overnight boon that fell in someone's lap, or they woke up one day and they were like, I started channeling a guide and then I was traveling or I wrote a whole book from a dream. Those things don't happen overnight. You listen to those people's stories and you're like, oh my goodness gracious. That's kind of that whole idea of how, okay, what is Spirit is showing me, the whole idea of like someone covets another person's gift or power or ability or talent, and they think that they want to destiny swap or steal it, or, oh, jealousy and projection, all this. Now, lo and behold, if that person turned around and put the full intensity of their power, their gift, their responsibility of what it is that they've been called to carry that looks to you in one way, then you would have to comprehend all that they had been through, you see. So the importance of understanding what I'm saying is that these things it's like a rippling out in waves, you see. There may have very well have been something going on in your energetic field, in the astral multidimensional version of yourself, in your etheric body, in your emotional waters. And it comes a time when it's time to present that out into this reality, you see. So, and encouraging you to look at these Virgo energies and these eclipse portals. They will continue rippling out, you see, because again, South Node is going to walk us to the summer. North Node is going to walk us to the summer. Pisces energy is still going to stay with us. Jupiter and Cancer is going to stay with us. There's going to be this, the flooding, the deluge, which may then shift from being, I don't know, I want to say wiping everything clean, or wiping it away, or purifying, releasing, crying, grieving, feeling like this is disappeared. No, I'm seeing someone trying to grasp it like something, and it's okay, like sand. I'm hearing that song, drifting through my fingers all the time. It's like, yeah, like sands, but it's not meant to stay. But that's because other things are coming. I think there will definitely be a shift where then it becomes the dreaming and the experience and the slowly, oh my gosh, I'm in body. Oh my gosh. What do you mean? And now it's my dream job, or, oh my gosh, I'm painting now, or, you know what I'm saying? The unfoldment. And that watery energy will turn more into abundant expansiveness. We're definitely in still quiet and in between phase. Sometimes I do get concerned for people collective. It's like they think they're just going to wake up on the spring equinox and they're just going to sprint all out the gates. And it's just not, it's not always intended to be that way, right? I think it's very important that we listen to our bodies, that we understand. I think I would definitely wager to say people would be experiencing in their realities, like there's probably a point in your routine, a point in you're like, I need to meditate. I can't really explain why I need that more. Or, yes, I know I've been kind of like a gym head for 7 years, but I need to pull away from that. Or, I know I've built this career for like 2-3 decades, but this is not, I'm going in a different direction. You know, some people, again, we've touched on this before, it'll be like, I was in a marriage for 3 decades and now it's just like, okay, you know, this is done. Some people definitely may be experiencing is like, you know what I feel like between one thing or another, I've been sick, I've been this, and it's been just this whole, like your energy getting dialed all the way down. I know it's been kind of like that for me, and it's been very different. Listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. Sit with yourself and be with yourself. You understand? Our spirit, our multidimensional tiers of energy and self, our angelic frequency, your high being guides, however you look at that, the elemental natures of the earth that can never be hijacked or controlled. Okay? They're calling you to listen and go within. Listen and go within. What does that look like to you? Please understand. Is that you meditating more? Is that you grieving something? Is that you really finally saying, I gotta fucking pay attention to my health. Something's going on. It's telling me something. Is that you saying, I can't keep living in this city? I don't know. For someone that came through so loud in my head, I've got to get into a different space. Or I keep pretending like this track that I put myself on. And you know, we have a tendency to do in our monkey mind, in our very more base level 3D mind. Well, I put so much into this. Well, I have to do X, Y, and Z to survive. It won't work. Those are programs that are running out. Sadly, what happens is sometimes when we don't listen to ourselves and sit and go inward or be in nature or make time, maybe, and some people is definitely, maybe you're more of a channeled person where like you need to write and the automatic writing gives you that experience. You pull cards and you journal and then you get things through. Those things can be meditative too. You might be like, when I paint, I open up my space to my higher self and I just don't know how to describe it. And then when I'm done, I journal and I get these profound, listen to yourself, right? We're going to be in a time, in fact, Spirit says, correct yourself. We're already in a time where the things of knowing and the ways of being and doing, they're going to change forever. If you're not able to sit with yourself at the end of the day, you ask yourself, if I had very little, how would I feel about that? If I was only going in and I felt that I no longer could trust the propaganda boxes to tell me the truth, how would I feel with that? Am I okay? Everything is in fact very simple. And honestly, it can be super pure. It can be super simple. It just depends on what you make of it, right? Please pay attention to what toxicity, I don't know why this is coming through. What does toxicity mean to you in your life right now? Is it toxic perfectionism? Is it toxically committing to things? It could literally be a message about toxicity in people's bodies. I know all of us have ways we can always try to refocus on how we take care of ourselves. There's something here, though, and this is that very Piscean, very Cancerian, very divine feminine trusting and knowing and understanding and leaning into the inner softness and gentleness of what yourself is saying. I'm seeing the star card, too. There are things that are happening, like literally in your DNA. And that is where your ancestors live within you. That is where the waters that are the alchemical frequencies of all the entire cosmos are within you. Do you understand? There are things going on there, and they may not be automatically articulated. Although, hey, if you can journal, I encourage it. It's so great. And then to look back and, make time. It's just the beingness of being present in the moment, being with yourself, okay? Oh, y'all, I wanted to tell you about this dream, and not me. I was like, I'm going to finish typing up this label. Totally did the whole wrong label, but that's just a message because we need to be streamlined and not so much multitasking. I think there's a huge shift coming, and it has to do with why you think you have to do things, why you think that we can only manifest through pain and suffering, why, and correction here, and maybe this is Saturn, Big Daddy, Big Papa tapping us on the shoulder, routine and discipline and plans and like a stewardly, like a studiousness, those things have their place, right? But we don't always have to keep plugging those good, solid principles. That's healthy masculine energy. We don't have to keep plugging that back into the same algorithms. You know what I'm saying? For example, you can use discipline. You can use those same practices to work on your intuition. to know that you have a gift and then go study about it. You can discipline yourself to read more books and be self-taught. You can be studious about how you manage what you consume and why, energetically, monetarily, physically. You can be disciplined about how you move your body and how you take care of yourself. I remember one time I was having a conversation with one of my very good apprenticeship spiritual teachers, and he was a very shaman type, very, Master Zen type, right? Get with me on this vibe. And he would be like, if tomorrow you woke up and you were just out in a field, you had to figure out how to feed yourself. You had to figure out how to placate and reground and center, deal with your mind. You had to get real zen with yourself. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have a lot of distraction things to reach for. Consumption of energy, flash, brain programming, choo, 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 in your face, consume, right? What would you do if you were just dropped down there tomorrow? Would you know how to meditate? Would you know how to look at plants and say mantras? Would you know how to care for your body? Would you know how to find peace? Do you know what I mean? Or let's say the whole grid got wiped and you turned around and you were like, do I know people who sustainably source things? Do I know my local community? Where's the water? Who's got the hens with the eggs? What do I even know about plants? You know what I'm saying? And I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but I'm saying it's like an artistic form of being able to go within and sit with yourself. And I'm not talking about being alone in loneliness. I'm talking about, it's more of like a zen, like a mindfulness, a peacefulness of being and simplicity, a solitude. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so listen, I had a dream. Y'all, I can't even remember. Do you ever just get like bits and pieces of your dream back? Of course, I haven't been in a place where, because I've been working and building different things, and I haven't been in a place where I've been super intentionally saying, I want to achieve X, Y, and Z, or I want to meet a guide, or give me a download, whatever. But anyway, I had this dream, and in the dream, you guys, it was like, in the dream, it was like, I was walking along. It was like the regular world, some kind of regular day. I don't even know why, but it was like I was at this strip mall, but then off in the distance, there was all this beautiful nature. I mean, it's a metaphor, right? I was wanting to get the things done so I could go off. There was this energy of, I kept looking over there and it's so beautiful. A lot of times my animal familiars will be in my dreams. Thank goodness. I'm so glad that I've had excellent shamanic teachers and stuff. And to me, I love to see that, because it means that I'm doing my work right. And my dogs were with me. And of course the dogs are like, oh, let's go over here, And then I had this bizarre moment where I want to say it felt like it was a device. It very well could have been a phone. It was some sort of handheld, very electronic, very probably inner Wi-Fi'd up, And I was walking, oh, y'all, for real, just get with me. I was walking down and I was like, I got to do the things. Your monkey mind. But I was also checking out, like I was doing the things. It was almost like when I would complete a task, it would be like, bing, 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 bing. And then somehow I realized, like if you've ever played a game and you're getting like XP points and you're collecting, wow, on your health points, wow, on your ding, 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 ding. And then I was collecting them. They were hovering over my head. And I thought, I went to wipe above my head. I thought it was like a gnat. And to me, gnats are like monitoring spirits, a certain vibrational frequency. If you know, I was swatting it. And then I realized, I was like, why are they popping up off my device above my head? And then I was like, felt very disoriented, like the mini mart timeline warbled, and it was like, and I was like, oh, I felt like I was going to be sick. So I was trying to hit the device. I was trying to get it out of my hand. And then I realized there were these things like coming out of the doors. And the whole time, my dogs are trying to pull me away from that. So eventually I dropped it and I'm running off in the other direction. smacking these like XP point counters off my head. And it was just like this whole metaphor. Like I had this whole moment and I was like, I am not in control here, or something like this. That's how it felt in the dream. And then I was like running. And then it almost made, now that I think about it and think about this before, it makes me think of the Fool card. And the Fool's like, you know what? How about no? And the little doggy. And they're like, actually, we're supposed to be going over here and jumping off this hill. And then I was running and I felt like this elated joy. It was very liberating. It was very much liberation. Wow. It was almost like a blockage to the crown in a way. And then it makes me go back to the original visual we were talking about where the light bodies, they're coming back into people's bodies. You know what I'm saying? And it felt like that. It felt very liberating. So that was a dream that I had. I guess we just had this whole, hey, welcome to Monday channeling session. Perhaps it is a message that we need to find a thing to go off and do. This makes me think about, I stood out in the rain this weekend and I can't even tell you the last time that I had done that. There was a whole story about like what led up to me going out there with someone to do it. Yes, I know you're like, well, haven't you been dealing with the effect? Yes. Okay. But yeah, I did stand in the rain. I didn't stand out there long enough. And listen, there's a lot of science we could talk about. Standing in the rain was not going to make me sicker. But anyway, I was out in the rain and I was just like, almost giggly, like, when is the last time I have even done this? It was such a wild feeling. Now Spirit is reminding me, I think the last time that I did that, it was on May Day a couple years ago, and I made May water and got caught in the rain. I was going to go and set a jar. Maybe May is a significant time frame for someone. I was going to set a jar. I wanted to make some white water, but I wanted to have May Day water in it. And I was collecting rainwater. But all of a sudden when I went out there, it was like every cloud outside was like, and drop. And it was just like, whoosh, it all soaked me. That's so interesting. I haven't thought about that in a while. May Day. That could be an important marker point in this whole unfoldment, right? Okay, wow. So I think that's all the downloads. I'm so excited to get into like spring equinox readings. I am going to have to go back and void this label though, but Spirit said, that's your own fault. You're right. I hope you guys are taking good care of yourselves out there. Just resist the urge to hurry up and rush off into it again. Are you able to hear yourself right now? When's the last time you meditated? Have you been putting those sound frequencies in your ear? When's the last time you walked out in the rain? It's raining here today, actually. When's the last time you just laid down? Sometimes you got to do that. Don't ask me. I'm so Aquarian and weird. Look, I do want to pull a beautiful card for us. This deck is just so gorgeous. But when's the last time that you got Aquarian level weird with me? You lay down and you put some gemstones in your body. You say affirmations to yourself. Sometimes, I grew up very churched, and I don't regret that at all. Energy and spiritual, beautiful people, they're everywhere. Yes, there were some PTSD moments. Child, listen. But I remember some people used to do intercessory prayer, and they would say that when you don't have the words to say, the Spirit, what is it? This biblical thing talking about Spirit will give utterance to. It's like a stand in the gap energy. There's this energy of we're crossing this bridge. It's a threshold. It's a portal, energetically. And there's a reason that everyone can't see these portals. You understand? And they're also within you. Sometimes you lay down and you just be like, I don't know why, but I need this oil and I need this gemstone. And I'm going to lay down. And I'm going to just talk to my higher self in a multidimensionality form. Please do, your protective measures. Please do those. Okay, we gotta do those. Maybe you do a little smudgy smudge, put you some salt. I don't know. Each you do you. And then you just say, help me get across this bridge in a way that serves my highest best good. Where are you taking me next? I'm open to go there. Maybe you want to call on gods in different forms in the way that which you work with them, or archetypes of God, goddess, source forms that you work with. Maybe you just ask for the elementals of the earth to support you. I don't know, however you want to do that. Right? Woo, friends, this energy. Okay, that card just slipped right across my finger. Let's see what our card says. Seasons of the Witch, Star Oracle. Let's see. Spring hike. Okay. Whimsy. Look, y'all, do you see it? She's walking into the forest like we were talking about in the beginning, and she has a doge. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's a dog. We'll read and see. Spring hike, a horizon of possibilities, welcomes the curiosity of your soul. There's that Fool energy again. Do you understand that this frequency is very playful and joyful and childlike? As is the Aries energy, the cardinal fire. There's a lot of spirit animal guides here. I love that the moon is here because we keep talking about these nodal points. Okay. Let's see what the beautiful spring hike card says. I have been walking outside so much every single day. Excuse me. I walk in the rain too, I don't know. I mean, it's so funny. It makes me think of forest school with the little kids. And we used to say, hey, there's no bad weather. There's only bad clothing. Spring hike says a feeling of discovery, climbing higher, and curiosity. The skies have cleared and the cold winds of winter have calmed. A cool spring morning is all too eager to fill the void. To fill the void? The skies have cleared. Do you see it? Granting you the perfect day to venture out on a hike through nature. I'm hearing, if not today, then when? That's for someone. It's a beautiful day to explore places you've never been, discover fresh flowers and leaves, finding light through the cracks, and the occasional visit from forest fauna filling you with delight. That feeling of discovery, stumbling upon something you had no knowledge of, suddenly washes away any darkness that is attempting to linger in your soul. What more might you find if you climbed a little higher, went a little further, or stayed a little longer? This could be like metaphorical too. I think nature is so huge and important, but this could be like in an asteroid as well. I'm seeing it. It's time to imagine what else is possible for you. There's a chance to go deeper, exploring far beyond what is comfortable or immediately available. What's at the heart of your innovations? The more you dig, the more you can discover. It may seem as though you're seeking a wealthy partner, when really you're seeking someone who is responsible, stable, and driven. Or perhaps you wish to pick up a hobby, thinking it's just a way to pass the time. Dig deeper, and you might find you are seeking a way to unlock your creativity or find fulfillment, or a way to better express your authenticity. The information you currently have is not the whole story. You ain't telling me, okay? But disclosure will continue. Spirit said, hold tight. I was going to say, hold your beer. I'm going to be honest. I don't really drink. Hold your tea. Hold your matcha. Because we are going to be disclosing. But listen. Honor the urge and push beyond your current circumstances, beliefs, ideas, and understanding of your situation, and see what else you can find. Consider, so interesting, as we're talking about crossing this bridge and laying there and being like, higher self, spirit team, God, goddess, divine source, I gotta break on through to the other side. But that takes curiosity and open-mindedness, and it takes trust, right? Consider whether you have been limited in your thinking. Be curious and ask questions, and follow any spark of interest. Ooh, it was so appropriate. You know what else I feel called to? Pull us a card from the Gateway of Light activation. Was it the Gaia Gateway? Spirit is reminding me is I had pulled that card, and I think that's what led to that whole channeling of flittering through the forest and bumping into that plasma bubble and what you might find on the other side. And then beam me up, Scotty. Yeah, I think that was based off one of these cards. That whole visual download had come. Okay, let's see. All right, let's see what we have. Wow, Sword of Light. This, I use these in personals too. And this card has just been out a lot lately. And this energy has been palpable. It's a lot of protection. But it's like, it reminds me of this meditation I used to do when you would invoke this archetype of Archangel Michael and the blue flame sword, and how the person doing the guided meditation would always say, I'm protected in all dimensionalities, all timelines, all soul incarnations. And you would just have this whole image of like this field of protection, like all throughout the universe around you. It's very powerful. It says, Sword of Light, divine protection, cords cut and break through energy. Not breakthrough, talking about break on through to the other side. I'm going to read it again, although I know this has come out recently. Divine protection, cords cut, breakthrough energy. The Sword of Light is the main energetic tool of Archangel Michael, the Prince of Heaven. His name means he who is like God, and he is considered Source's right-hand man. He is the archangel who has chosen to guide and protect all light workers. Anyone who is feeling called to make a difference on this planet can be guided and supported by him. The Sword of Light has been pictured as both a sphere of light and a lightning bolt. Either way, it's a powerful symbol of truth and spiritual power. When they say lightning bolt, it makes me think about how it was raining pretty heavy, and I had to drive in it a little bit this morning to go to an appointment, and it had just been a little while since I'd got to just be out. I love to watch a storm. I'll forever be that person. People are like, what are you doing? Don't go outside. You know I'm about to go outside. That's me every time. Rain, storms. Okay, now we're talking about lightning, but this lightning streaking across the sky this morning, you guys. Woof. And now we're seeing this card. Wow. Either way, it's a powerful symbol of truth and spiritual power. Even though it is carried by Michael, it can be invoked by all of those working in the light to help them move beyond blockages and limitations and to sever cords of fear. Joan of Arc invoked it when she was going into battle. Visualize yourself engulfed in golden light and say, Sword of Light, thank you for cutting the unnecessary cords that bind me to fear. I stand in truth and light, fulfilling the call of my soul. When this card comes to you, know that it is confirmation that you are walking the path of light. And listen, over here, we ain't trying to be like, no, everything's only love and light and butterflies and red. That's not what it is. We understand that this dimensionality embodies all things, even though it is evolving and ascending very rapidly, okay? But what you choose to dwell in the most frequently is what's going to dictate what you draw in. Do you see the difference? It's not spiritual bypassing or lying to yourself or being disillusioned. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about what you choose to invoke, right? Sword of Light, thank you for cutting the unnecessary cords that bind me to fear. That's anything in a timeline, in a relationship, old versions of patterns of what you do and what you say and how you live your life. Perhaps even for some, how you treat and speak to or perceive other people. Whole other timeline dimensionalities, right? It's just we're cutting it. I stand in truth and light, fulfilling the call of my soul. When this card comes to you, know that it is confirmation that you are walking the path of light and responding to pre-incarnation soul contracts to make a difference on the planet. These could be contracts that are coming online right now, right? It's also a sign that you have the opportunity to sever connections to fears and limitations, be they in and of yourself. The work always starts there first, but then it ripples out to show you the things in your manifest reality that maybe you need to go on ahead and, use them scissors on too, okay? Yeah, sever connections to fear and limitation. Energetic cords bind us to situations, loved ones, and even the past. But you are in transition now and detaching from unnecessary connections, dramas, and fears. Know that there will be a great severing at this time, and you might feel isolated for a moment as you will be reconfiguring your circle of trust and moving into a life that is in greater alignment with your highest good. Know that the cords that bind you to loved ones and soul family will remain intact. It's only the lower vibrational connections that are being severed. Expect breakthroughs and doors of opportunity opening for you. If you feel strongly connected to Archangel Michael, know his energy is with you now. Wow. All right, guys, that's where I'm going to leave it today. I hope you have a beautiful Monday and take good care of yourself out there, okay? I love you. I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.